Okay, this is an area of interest for me. Um, in your experience with the elderly, can you tell me how do the elderly do better? Do they do better at home, being cared for by by a loved one, maybe being home alone, or in an institution? Which way do you think is the best for them?
Well, it really depends on the situation of the family. I think that the best possible place for an elderly person is in his own home. He's comfortable there. It's a comfort level, and he's not taken away from his environment. If it can be worked out, he or she has to have a proper caregiver in place who will look after the elderly person well, who's devoted to them, who's loyal, who's kind, who you can really trust. And if there's family members around, that also makes a very big difference. Children around, sometimes even the elderly person will live with a child, with a caregiver. So there are a couple of options if you want to keep the elderly person at home, either in his or he or she's environment with a proper caregiver, meals brought in. That I would think would be the best solution. Um, Also, if medically, it's safe for this elderly person to be home as well. Some elderly people live at home alone with a caregiver, and the children do live out of town, but they're very, very involved, and they call and they come visit, and they're very, very connected. So that I would say is the number one choice. Now, when there is nobody around to look after the elderly person, children are out of town, or sometimes even when children are in town, but they're not equipped to handle their parents, then I guess the best solution would be to put the parent into a nursing home. Um, Hopefully it would be a good nursing home or a retirement residence. Sometimes it's also very beneficial for the elderly person to have a caregiver in the nursing home to look after the elderly person, to make sure that the elderly person gets the right attention, gets the right hygiene, etc., etc. Because even in the best nursing home, there is not enough staff equipped to really properly take care of the elderly person. So you really have to know your family situation. You have to be very true to yourself and see what would make the best sense for your parent. And as well, it's very important for the elderly person to be surrounded by people, to get visitors, to feel part of the community, and to be involved with social activities that the elderly person really, have a lot of benefit from. So that's really what it is. Those are your options.
Okay, what are some specific things that you've learned by working with elderly people for your own personal life?
Well, a lot of things that I've learned is just learning from the person, listening to them, hearing their life challenges, their life experiences. So many times, if you have the patience and you take the time to listen to them, there's so much that you can learn. There's so much you can be inspired from. There's so much that you can take with into your own life if you just will listen to them. Many of them are charming, they have wonderful personalities, they have so much to say, they have so much to share. And if you're just there for them and listen, you could learn an awful lot from them, from their lives, from they went through, from their advice, from their wisdom.
Okay. Do you have any advice to offer to people who are planning on working with elderly people or managing services for the elderly?
Well, my first point of advice would be you really have to be a very giving, loving person to work with the elderly. There are challenges with working with the elderly. They are people who really need you, and if you're going to do this just because you're in it for the financial reasons, then this is really not a profession for you. You're really dealing with their lives, they're depending on you, they need you, and you're going to get emotionally involved with them. So has to be really something that you have a passion for, and you respect them, and you really want to help them. If you're just going to do this as a 9 to 5 job, it's not going to work. So you really have to be true to yourself and know what you really want from your life.
Okay. Thank you very, very much for your time and your help. And we hope to be able to continue our relationship for a very long time.
Well, thank you for giving me
Thank
this
you.
opportunity, Mady.
Okay. Take care.